Hello, welcome to Founders Backyard. Here's the host Danish Jaiswal. In this episode, we have here with us Ekta Bouderlique. She's a co-founder of Quantum Revolution. In this episode, she shared all about her learnings, her journey regarding her startup and overall from her career. And this episode is really special and one of my favorite episodes because it's like a true from heart. And yeah, you should definitely check the complete episode because it's really a masterpiece. Thank you so much. Enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome, Ekta. Ma'am,
Hi.
welcome to Founders Backyard. How are you?
I'm good. And Tanish, can jolly well call me Ekta. That makes it much more simpler. So go with it. Okay.
Okay, cool. So share your experience about your startup, Quantum Revolution.
Oh God. Okay. My God, that's asking me to describe so many years in a few words. But in fact, it all began with this idea of exploring, and I had no clue what I was getting into when I started this. Like practically everything, that starts. I think for all entrepreneurs, it is like that. Just before we started speaking, I was wondering where the word entrepreneur came from. And I think it may have this French root because it says entreprendre. In French, it's entreprendre. Entre is to take with, take up, and prendre is to take. So within a certain framework. So I think it all boils down to one thing. Like when some things come up in life, are you going to walk that path or not? And for me, it all began like, I think for most entrepreneurs begins like this. I mean, begins without you thinking what you're going to get into or creating any plans. So it's like an impulse, it's like a feeling, it's like an instinct that comes at a moment and you say, chalo, ye karna hai. And you just like jump into it, right? And then things unfold, right? Adventures happen, one thing leads to another, and you just get involved. So for me, it started like that. I mean, it was never about setting up a healing, how do I call it, a school and training people how to become healers or doing healing myself. I mean, I was way away from that. I was like, for all my life, I've been a journalist, an event manager, and organizing. So, and I think my biggest lesson in entrepreneurship came from being a mom.
Oh, nice.
So I was a stay-at-home mom for as long as my kids were at home. I have 2 kids, and watching them grow up and learning with them was, I think, the lesson that life taught me. And whatever I learned as, managing the family, working with my kids, bringing them up, were the most important lessons in life that I finally applied to becoming an entrepreneur. And
amazing.
yeah, so MBA school was being a mom. And yeah, whatever I learned, I used. And वैसे ही जर्नी शुरू हुई. तो सोचा नहीं था कभी के healing करेंगे. Let's just happen on its own, right? So
nice. And how this startup works, share more about it.
How does it work? So, okay, so as I told you, it started on its I didn't start it up, it started me up, okay? Because I was in France and I was desperately looking for something always to give as healing to my children without walking the allopathic path unless and until it was really required. Only in emergencies I would go for medicines which were like, hardcore, proper allopathic medicines. And touchwood, kids never fell sick a lot. So I would go in for healing with essential oils, with homeopathy, with simple stuff, everyday nuskas, the way my grandmother would have taught me, my mom taught me with Ayurveda, So we used to work with all that for years. And one fine day, like I started exploring energy healing and came in contact with so many such people. So the interest that I developed in this led me from, one thing to the other. ऐसे करके बस सीखते गए, मैंने देखते गए. And then one fine day I meet somebody who tells me that, look, so and so is doing a workshop with quantum healing, and why don't you go and learn? And he, this person who was teaching, wants to take sittings. As you know, I'm a preceptor with Heartfulness, and my main work all my life has been to, be a volunteer for the Heartfulness movement. And as a trainer, or what we call a preceptor, my job was to give meditation sessions and initiate people and then continue giving them meditation. So वही ज़्यादातर काम होता रहता था. So I was in Paris at that time, living there. So I went there to give sittings to this person, and he was so, interesting in the way he was talking about this healing, which is based on science.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated by science, anything to do with science or science fiction is like magic. So I've been reading a lot on science and on healing, and then suddenly it all comes together in one single method. So I was like, wow, let me try this. So it was out of sheer curiosity that I tried it. And even then, this thought of me healing others kabhi aaya hi nahi tha. Because I was just having fun exploring, learning. Learning is something that really makes me feel very happy.
Oh, God.
Okay. तो मैंने अभी भी लाइफ में कुछ ऐसा ही है कि every month if I don't pick up something new, it makes me feel like I've wasted my time. Okay. And the most depressing moments in life are the times when I want to go for that next language, that next, skill, that's the way I cure myself. So this healing thing just happened, and I went through the workshop, learned it, and then I was like, wow, this is something else. Okay. And the results which I saw, the way people started getting cured out of all kind of funny situations, physical illnesses, mental issues, emotional troubles. I was like, wow, isme kuch to hai baat, right? So immediately started working. I jumped into it, full fray, and it just happened, So I was like, wow. Also, another thing, very funny thing happened is there's this lady I knew. Okay. Tell me if I'm boring you.
No. Just go on. Yeah, it's really amazing.
So 82-year-old lady whom I knew in France, and she has been a healer since, I think, in her mother's family since 3 generations. Okay. Now these people are from Algeria, who are French but Algerian descent, and she knew how to heal. And they know this from grandma to mom, and they're really healers. Okay.
Yeah.
And I love her a lot, and she's been a lot of guidance she's given me a lot of guidance in my life, even as a friend and a sister and an elder person. One day she was just looking at my hands, and I was talking about healing, and I was saying I met some very good healers in France, people who do amazing energy work, and she was just holding my hand, and she looks at my hand and she said, oh, you can do a lot of healing. I'm like, okay, you're kidding, right? I am not a doctor, I'm not a healer. I love biology, but I cannot stand the sight of blood. So I'm not at all a doctor kind of a person.
Yeah.
She says, no, it doesn't have anything to do with that. It's your attitude. And it's the way you can open up to the possibilities and see things as healed where they are not yet healed. So she said, with that attitude, something could work. And she says, I can see it in your hands. I'm like, okay, this is weird. Okay. So I just put it away. And this happened 2-3 years before I took this quantum healing workshop.
Yeah, nice.
So like that, the journey started. And I started, healing people, and then, it got more and more exciting. And then somebody said, why don't you teach us? ठीक है, teach bhi kar lenge. So I started teaching here and there, and then I realized, oops, this could become an interesting workshop. जो मैंने सीखा था, वैसे भी. Only difference is because of my background in heartfulness, I found so many principles of heartfulness are very, how do I say, aligned, parallel, deeply entrenched in the way quantum healing works. So मैंने सोचा, let me just also apply my heart's journey to this also, and whatever I have learned from heartfulness in a way in which it can apply to healing, and this became so fascinating. तो थोड़ा मैंने work search करके, and then I looked up different traditions of healing in different cultures, and what happened was, as I taught, it became something that I developed much more differently from what I had learned. But as in how I worked, I could bring forth something that was, something that I had felt in my healing. So I teach more what I feel and how I learned it. And now it's become something that I've shaped, more and more as the years go by. Even today, I learn new things.
Oh, great.
And aaj hi I was healing 2 people in the wellness center. And suddenly it came to me that I could do two people at the same time, which up till now I was doing only one person at a time. So a breakthrough that happens on its own. I mean, it just develops.
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from, but I have a feeling it all comes from one single source.
Amazing.
Can only be the master. So, ये माने होता रहता है. So that's how I started. Then I teach workshops in Europe. Then I came to India to live here, and I started teaching workshops in India.
Amazing, amazing.
ऐसे ही करके करता होता गया.
And how this quantum healing therapy session will help young entrepreneurs build nation?
Okay, that's a tall order. I think it helps everybody when... Okay, let me put it this way. You remember Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I was watching Harry Potter, and just yesterday I was looking for some help, I was like, God, I need help. This is not working. Something was not going right in life. And actually, most of the times, there are things that don't go right. Okay. So when you're looking for help, and then I remembered when that sentence from Hogwarts kept coming back to my mind, that help shall always be given at Hogwarts to those who seek it. Right. And I remember these kids find the, chamber which is there for, they want to learn and become Dumbledore's army, and this chamber just shows up. You remember in I think it was Order of the Phoenix. And that sentence stuck in my head. And I'm like, wow, when you need help, it comes.
Automatically, right?
It just comes.
Yeah.
And that's the mark of an entrepreneur. You are open to life. You just surrender to life. And just when you thought everything is getting dark, that's the moment the light will come.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't get dark, you know what? You wouldn't see it as light.
Yeah.
Right? So entrepreneurs are to this new world what I would say sea voyage, Christopher Columbus, no, he's not my favorite person, was to the ancient world. We are explorers. We are people who look for roads where there are no roads. Okay.
Yeah.
You're off the beaten track, man.
Yeah.
And that's so exciting. So, in fact, being an entrepreneur, I would say quantum healing or any book or any thought or any person you meet, it's how you see it that will shape your future.
Yeah.
The magic for an entrepreneur happens because they're looking for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, you're looking for a path out of the bushes. For a person who's not looking for a path and who's just there, being told what to do, sit at a 24/7 job. Okay, nothing against people who are into salaries. Don't look at me that way. But being an entrepreneur is like being an explorer.
Yeah.
It's like being a pirate on high seas.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
This is how this podcast started.
See? Okay. Right. So we understand each other, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. So quantum healing can help. Any healing can help. Anything can help. I sometimes go into weird moments where I gotta think differently. So, damn, I pick up a book which has got nothing to do with what I'm doing. Okay. So, okay, I love reading. I'm a voracious reader. So, like 3 books a week minimum.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. And, okay, the toughest part of my life is finding the book which I want to read. Okay. There are days when I'm like, I spend more time shopping for my book than I would shop for my clothes or anything else. Okay. Because I need to find the book. And there are days when books come up like on, how would I say, comparative religion or music in Iran. I mean, who would have thought of that, right? But what I learn in there applies to that problem that I have in my entrepreneurial setup.
Yeah.
Okay? So I just have to be 360 degrees open. And quantum healing, any healing, right, is a way to set yourself up for these experiences in life. By, it's like a total surrender moment.
Oh, amazing.
एक खुल जाओ, है ना? जब तक खुलोगे नहीं ना, तब तक माने कुछ भी होएगा तो यूज भी नहीं कर पाओगे.
Yeah.
That's the difference between an entrepreneur and your normal guy. Is like you'll see it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's how you get the courage to move on.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So this can really help you, like anything else can help you.
And what's the process of quantum healing? How
Process
it
तो
happens?
कुछ नहीं. You just have to ask for a healing, and it takes what, 15, 20 minutes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
one session.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people to just send me an email and tell me what they want as to be healed.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, I tell them to keep it just a few points, because when I tell people, what is your problem? I get a shopping list that won't beat. Oh my God, it's like a bucket list. I'm like, guys, hold on.
Yeah.
One problem at a time or two problems at a
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, when you heal one thing,
Yeah.
so many other things get healed,
Yeah.
because it's all connected, right? I can't
Yeah.
heal a physical problem for you without affecting you mentally and,
Mm-hmm.
spiritually. So,
Mm-hmm.
affect तो हो ही गई.
Yeah.
So, I say just एक दो चीजें रखो
Mm-hmm.
और फिर वहाँ से ripple effect होता है. So, other things also start falling into place.
Oh, great.
So they apply, they send me an email, and I do the healing either by remote or in person,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And then after 10 days, I say, okay, if you feel like, we want to work more, you can call me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I see, but generally, maximum times people come back to me is like 2 or 3 times,
Okay.
not more. For for that problem.
So it is a heart based or something different? How it works basically? What is the science behind it?
Ula. Science behind it is
Mhm.
very interesting. If
Mhm.
you know, okay, let me put it in a nutshell. Okay, this
Yeah.
is too simplistic, and I'm sure all the research scientists out there are going to be,
Yeah.
looking for me to kill. But wait a minute. There are things which can be simplified. Okay, if you look at the universe, what do you see? You see matter.
Mhm.
Okay, what is matter? What is matter? Matter is made out of several different
elements.
Compounds, right?
Mhm.
If you are able to see what the compound is made of, what is it made of? It's made of molecules.
Molecules, yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any compound, certain molecules. Now, okay, if you were able to go deep into the molecule, right? You remember that movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? Okay, maybe it was not your generation. Shucks, I'm growing old, people.
No.
Not
Young
at
by
all.
heart, always.
Not unhappy about it. Okay, by the way, I'm a grandma now, so I
Oh,
can say I'm growing old. Thank you. Okay, so look at it this way. It's a movie in which, this guy shrinks his kids so much that they become tiny, and then, they have this adventure, and, dad's trying to find them again. And it's a Disney movie you can watch. Okay, so what happens is, if I had a microscope that could look deeper and go further into matter, I would see molecular structures. Molecules are made up of atoms. Atoms are made up of subatomic particles. Okay, so far so good. Now, subatomic particles, if you take them, say you take an electron, right? What does an electron show up as? It shows up as, and that's where quantum physics started exploring the nature of an electron through various experiments. Most famous of them all was the double slit experiment. Okay. In brief, what happens is, when they started looking at a molecule and an atom, and then we developed enough, I would say, technology to be able to look into an electron's behavior. What's an electron made of?
Yeah.
They found that it behaves like a particle or a wave, depending on the observer's presence.
Nice.
Okay. So the same electron, which if you're observing it, it will behave like a particle. So when they performed this experiment and put an observer, like a camera or something, its behavior was like a little, let's say like a little golf ball, like an atom, or like a actual thing of matter. When this was not there, it behaved like a wave. And a wave can be different possibilities. It's not the same as matter. What is a wave made of? Energy.
Yeah.
What is energy made of?
I think something divine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What is a substance? If you look into it, nothing.
Yeah.
It's made of nothing. So if it moves at a certain vibratory level, it will manifest as a wave, and that wave will become something more matter-like once it has a focus of something. And this something is information.
Oh, amazing.
So basically, you and I are sitting on chairs, which is made of nothing.
Yeah.
And yet it is a chair.
Yeah.
So what happens is, quantum scientists realize that the universe is subjective and not objective. That is where they broke up from classical science. Newtonian science would say that it's a mechanical universe, everything is matter and is subject to rules of action, reaction, matter, entropy. Quantum physics suddenly said, oh, no. Right? It is nothing.
No.
And it is your thought, it is the information, it is the intention that will create reality. So one person's intention will create a reality. Collective intention will create another effect on reality.
Yes.
So suddenly the world becomes subjective. Imagine if I told you that all your problems were created by you. You'll say like, wow, seriously? But what if, yes, it's true. And it is true.
Yeah.
What if everything good you created also is because of your thought? So it's mind over matter.
Yeah.
And mind over matter explorations began with quantum physics in the West, which in our Vedic Shastras, in our Upanishads, in our Indian lineage, our rishis already knew about it.
Oh, nice.
So what happens? Quantum physicists come back and explore our Shastras, our Vedic information, and build on it, right? So that's where the connect with the heart is. And you meditate and you go deep into consciousness. That clarity that comes, that capacity to be entirely still, to feel nothing. I don't know, you meditate, right?
Yeah.
तो कभी कभी ऐसा नहीं होता है कि 10 मिनट हो गया and actually sitting for an hour.
Yeah.
होता है ना?
Yeah.
So your perception is what? It is what is inside. Your perception is not generated by the actual reality. 10 minutes or half an hour is a subjective matter.
Yeah.
So similarly, our outlook on life may seem as if this is solid. It isn't.
Yeah.
So quantum physics can say, okay, you can take care of an issue. Right? Now, I'm making it simple. Of course, it takes, at least for me, 2 days of a workshop to communicate to a student this and then show them how they can do the healing. But it's easy as hell. Everybody can do it. You don't need to be gifted.
Oh, nice.
Right? Understand the principle and operate with it. Like you meditate on the heart,
Yeah.
you feel the results, no?
Yeah.
Similarly, if you're able to do the healing, with quantum, it's like understanding the nature of the universe. Everything comes from nothing. It is the intention which makes it so and so. Okay? And this intention is in information, which is actually in formation. In dash formation.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a lot to hit you with for one single go, but yeah, basically it's this. From nothingness, things manifest. And that is how, if you can be in a state of nothingness, you can also shift your reality.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
And then anything can get healed. I've seen people get healed. I've seen animals get healed. I've seen plants get healed. I've even seen machines restart. Anything
That's crazy, I guess.
It's weird, right? Yeah.
Okay. And share your experience about a NGO that you are running in Gujrat. It's based. Share about
You've
that.
been doing your homework on internet. Okay. Okay. I thought that was something nobody knew about. All right. So I run an NGO. No, actually, it didn't start off as me running an NGO.
What is the name though?
It's possible.
It's possible.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's amazing name.
Es Possible. It's Possible is name we chose because we loved this idea of anything is possible. And then I'd met a guy called, Satish Kumar when I was living in France. For me, he's one of the world's most important ecologists.
Oh, amazing.
Satish ji runs magazine called, he is part of the Schumacher College, and the way he works the way he's worked over years for ecology, he used to be a monk living in India, disciple of Vinoba Bhave. And he walked in the 1960s from India to the US. Okay, not on water because he did that part on boat. But the rest of the trip he took on foot to protest against nuclear, development in the world.
Okay.
And now he's living in UK doing this Schumacher College. So Satish Kumar had come to France, and while talking with me, he was explaining to me this concept of ego to eco.
Oh.
From the single separative feeling of being a human, as separate from everybody, which creates practically all the problems in the world, to realizing your spiritual potential by understanding that it's an ecology. It is a community. It is there is this oneness in the universe.
Yeah.
And Sahaj Marg's journey is also like all yoga journeys, all yoga paths.
What is Sahaj Marg?
Sahaj Marg is heartfulness. That is the original, I would say, word that we used to use for the method that is given through the heartfulness practice. Today we call it heartfulness to make it possible for the entire universe to capture the essence of it, because English is the language which runs in the world, and the idea of heart and bringing the heart into everything you do, everything you live, everything you be is called heartfulness. The original idea was Sahaj Marg, which in Hindi means, Sahaj means natural or something that is, instinctive, simple, that comes on its own, simple. And path is Marga, which is the way you practice, what you walk, the path of your life, the Dharma, right? So Sahaj Marg is what I practiced and what I still practice, and it's also called heartfulness method. So to come back to what happened, he told me about ego to eco, so I use that in the trust. It's Possible Ecology Trust, from ego to eco. That's what. So yeah, I came to live in India with my husband. We both came here in 2013. And my kids had grown up, and we both felt jobs and working and in France was okay, but we desperately wanted to come and do what we've always liked to do. Of course, it was Francois' idea, my husband's idea, and he just loves India so much, and he's an ardent spiritual practitioner and a deeply devoted person to his practice, and a lovely person. And Francois was very inclined towards ecology and stuff. And when my kids, when I saw them go to college and all, we both felt that chalo, it's time now to move back. Yeah. It was very tough for me. I didn't want to leave the kids. But yeah, we came back, and my grandfather had some land in Gujrat, which he had left me. And he said, this is something you can develop. So we chose to be on the farm and started developing. We built a house, which was very eco-construction, and started exploring. And Satish had inspired in me this idea to, bring a cow, and, this idea of, cows and water and soil being the basic formula for, letting the earth regenerate itself. So we were so curious about kaise karna hai and all. Mostly my husband was into it, and I was anyway always busy with heartfulness. So that's how we did it.
And what is eco-construction?
Right, eco-construction is basically using materials which are ecological in the sense that which are naturally available, locally available, right? Finding solutions that require less, human input, and something that you can bring together in an idea of being harmonious with nature. So using wood, stone, mud, or developing technologies which use these materials in an intelligent way to create structures for human life, which are sustainable, suitable for human life. Okay. Yeah. Like we live in Kutch, we have a house which is built in such a way that we've never needed AC much.
Oh, amazing.
Okay, and that's very hot climate in summers, right? So these kind of things, and so we were learning, exploring, a lot of mistakes made, a lot of things learned, etc.
You also have a windmill, I guess, right?
Oh, chota windmill.
So just share about that. I've heard.
So we met two guys called Arun and what's his brother's name? I forgot. George from Kerala. And these two young people had created a fantastic concept of a chota windmill, like a size that can take a house's electricity, basic electricity production on its own. So I'd met them and we had discussed, and then I saw their products and I was like, okay, let's put one here. So we put one in the house, and it could carry
The whole house.
The house, but not my washing machine, because then we needed a better battery. So we stayed there, okay? But yeah, it was fun to, actually, I'll tell you, Tanishq, the fun was not whether it worked or it didn't. The fun was in the exploration. The fun was in setting it up and believing that, yes, we have a solution. Okay, so the windmill broke down so many times, worked so many times, didn't work so many times, and but yet it is there, and that's the, that's the passion that it builds. Okay, right? What's next? Okay, what more can you do?
Yeah.
And somewhere you feel like you are, I don't know. I mean, like you feel, right? What you've created as a company, right?
Yeah.
What is your startup about?
So MR Dreams. So basically, we are helping young entrepreneurs achieve their dreams, and basically, we are providing motivation session in school and college, and inspiring students to adopt entrepreneurship as the career. We are helping with mentorship, incubation support, and funding.
How do you inspire them?
So we do motivation session in school and college, and help them in their journey of starting up.
All right. So basically, you start them off, right? And then when things go difficult and all, do they come back to you? Do you have a system?
Yeah.
How does that work?
We have a bunch of mentors and entrepreneurs. They just help, and yeah, it's working good. So basically, we have recently started, and we are developing it.
Okay. Kab start kiya?
This year only, April.
Acha, April. Okay. Sorry, I'll take this there. I hope the camera works. Okay, April you did this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many entrepreneurs have you helped so far? Like many?
Right now, our main focus into providing motivation session and stuff, and we are in initial phase right now, and we are creating a bunch of community for entrepreneurs, and then we are doing a few things later on. We have plans, and this year only we are going to launch one virtual event that is going to be really great. So yeah,
Virtual event. Okay. Good.
connecting all the entrepreneurs from around the country, and yeah, it will be great. So it's like a surprise thing.
Nice. Well, I'm not going to make you say your surprise stuff. But yeah, definitely. So like what you're saying makes sense to me, because being an entrepreneur is like wanting to explore new roads, and 99% of the time it is tough, right? So basically every road you're going to try is not going to work, right?
Yeah.
And the rising is tough, and after a long time, so I've met people who've been suddenly successful, etc. and all, but that's not what we look for.
Yeah.
The journey and the experience.
Yeah.
The whole point is getting trained and going the rough road. I mean, the fun. It's like when you run. Okay, so when I run, okay, the fun is not in the beginning. Beginning may you're full of energy, right? Your muscles are all like ready to go, and you run and you start feeling, okay, I'm running, it's good. But when the rubber hits the road, when you really like after that 3/4 section, when you want to push, okay, so now your heart's beating very fast, there's this lactic acid building up, and there's pain in your legs and your hands, and you're breathing hard, and you want to go that extra mile.
Yeah.
Okay, that's when things get super interesting. Means your entire focus is now on getting there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is what I run for. Okay, that moment is what gives me something that will break through my day. Okay, and then the sweat begins, and then you have this. I don't know if you actually run, but for you, if you run, I mean, why I run, okay, is because at that moment you cover the last mile. I mean, the last part.
Like running actually.
Real running.
Okay,
like
I'm into yoga.
I also like yoga, but man, running is it, like, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not saying go run, but if you ever do, check this out. And then you know what happens, Tanish? That last minute when you're running, and then that's when I push myself. So what I do is those last few, say 200-300 meters. And then I go really fast because I want to build my capacity. Right? So that's when you push all the limits and you push yourself so hard. Okay. And when I'm then I stop, and then I'm, walking so that I can recuperate my heartbeat, because that's how you do it, etc. And then you get this rush of whatever you call it, your blood's full of that feeling, that you get when you know you have achieved that moment of personal victory over your barrier. And every day you do this. So it's such an enchanting moment. It's like when you meditate, okay? You sit and you close your eyes and you start with cleaning. Okay, so in Heartfulness practice, we have this extremely important thing called cleaning, where you remove the inner, I would say, obstacles that, kind of cloud your inner quality of life. Okay. And it is so powerful. I mean, when you just do this little bit of cleaning and begin your meditation with a clear intention of, looking for that unity, looking for that stillness, looking for that depth, when you can actually just be, right? And that noise that goes on all the time in your head is quiet. So even for a few minutes, if that noise is quiet and you can connect and feel in your heart this source, this light, this joy, this presence in your heart, whatever you call it, for me, it's the presence of the one that I feel has given me everything in my life. My guide, it just kind of permeates everything. And even for a few seconds, when you run into that moment, it builds your day. And then you just hold on to it. And you just like feel, okay, what just happened? Okay? You're no longer trying to control everything in life. Okay? In any case, you can't control anything. Just looks like you can, right? But no. All you can do is be, there. Be a witness. And those few minutes of being a witness, man, they are magic. So, meditation practice, sports, for me, that's entrepreneurship.
Oh, that's superb, I guess.
Man, you are your own creator, isn't it?
Yeah.
What is entrepreneurship if not creating your experience?
Yeah.
Why is it restricted only to business? That's why I said, as a mom, I felt my entrepreneurship school, my incubator, was my family life.
Oh, that's great.
Okay? Because it taught me so much. How to stay awake at night when my kid didn't come home. How to not shout at him when I knew he was not doing what he was supposed to do. Like, okay, let me wait. Let me ask him, can I be, patient? Maybe he'll tell me what's wrong with him. Teenagers, bringing up teenagers and now being a grandma, I'm like, okay, so life teaches us and life's the best teacher. And, if we can just have faith and, surrender into the higher purpose, then we can find meaning. I think being an entrepreneur is looking for purpose and meaning and setting a course of your own. So, I definitely would love to, tell all the young people today who are looking to be entrepreneurs that never look back. Okay, keep treading on. You never know when you'll strike gold. Okay, you just have to keep going. And it's when things go really dark, when something's gonna crack, and that patience can only be built, that capacity can only be built by inner work. And that is heartfulness.
Yeah. And you're also a coordinator, youth coordinator in Heartfulness, right? Share your experience regarding that, because you are doing a great responsibility, and it's like mentoring the whole youth community in Heartfulness, and it's like a great thing.
All of us do that. I don't think I'm the only one who's doing this. In fact, now so many of our volunteers are involved in doing it. And in fact, I used to be very scared when I used to take care of the youth, because it's a responsibility. And There are so many times when I found it super tough because how could I tell them what I really felt from my heart was like, guys, this is the part of your life that if you don't get it right, it's going to be tough later on.
Yeah.
And my own kids, rearing them, like I said, everything focused on family. So I have a daughter who's 27 and I have a son now who's 29. And when they were young, it was a time when I was also taking care of youth seminars and organizing them.
Yeah, it was great experience. I
I-
remember few youth seminars.
I hope it was.
You were a great mentor.
But it wasn't me. And honestly, whatever I learned, I was observing. And I'll tell you why it wasn't me, because it was a collective experience of my generation. And today I'm very comfortable saying that it was my generation. People want to stay young all the time. And I would say like I just use that example of the movie and I'm like, shit, it's not your generation. Okay, so I ain't afraid of growing old. In fact, I'm looking forward to growing old. What a relief. But yeah, Tanishq, it was a scary time for me because what if I did something that wasn't supposed to be done? What if I messed up on the responsibility I had? So it was constantly like a huge charge because all you guys, what I wanted for you was to live a life where it made sense to you. Okay. And that meant so many times telling, that this, leading you by example, which means everybody is looking at what I was doing. And that was scary because as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as as a wife and a daughter and whatever, I made so many mistakes, and it's tough owning up in public, right? At the same time, I wanted to scream and say, guys, if you don't make mistakes, you're never going to learn.
Yeah.
Right?
And I want to share my experience regarding youth seminar.
Bolo.
So the reason why I'm sitting here is because of that only. In 2018, there was a youth seminar with Vasco Gasper, and he was sharing about mindfulness and stuff. And in that moment, he told us to write something about what you want to achieve in 1 year. Just write that in your diary. So at that time, I was into photography. I was doing photography and stuff, and I just wrote I want to be a founder of a photography company, right? So I was in Delhi in 2019, 1 year later, and I was working on that same thing as an entrepreneur. And during COVID, when I came back in 2020 to my home, I was just reading the book, and I could see I've written founder of photography company. I was literally doing that.
Wow. It makes me
Yeah.
it makes me cry because I mean, this is what life is really. This is what makes sense,
Yeah.
because Vasco's intervention into the seminar was really orchestrated by Daaji. And I mean, I feel I've done nothing. Like, Daaji has, and Daaji, by the way, for those of you who are looking, is the guide of Heartfulness and our inspiration and our teacher. And whatever we learned from him. And I can tell you, the way he inspired these youth seminars, okay, he was incredible, and he is doing it today with every seminar possible, right? I could sense how Vasco was called into this for a reason, and wow, what he did with all of us,
it was really amazing.
it was fun, right? Mindfulness and his presence. I mean, Vasco's such a nice man. So if he's watching this, thanks, Vasco. We miss you. Come back soon. And yeah, you could invite him for your
podcast.
Yeah, no, even for your training for innovation. You do it online, right?
Yeah.
So invite Vasco.
Sure.
He'll come.
Yeah.
He and Maria are fantastic people. Portugal.
Oh, that would
I'll
be
share his
really
number
amazing.
with you. Call him.
Yeah. Sure,
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, and many other guys. If you want, we can. Okay, so this is the entrepreneurial bug. Every time two of us meet, we start throwing ideas back and forth, and it never ends.
Just the last question. Share your experience about connecting UNESCO and yoga organization, Indian yoga organization, with Heartfulness. You have been part of connecting the whole thing.
One of my crazy adventures, UNESCO was. Oh. Okay. So it all started because I was living in Paris, and I keep having this, how do I say, it's a blessing and it's a joy to be a volunteer for Heartfulness. Okay. So the idea is, how can one contribute to what has given me the most beautiful gifts in my life, that is the Heartfulness system. This mission, this organization, this Heartfulness Institute is something that I feel is the journey of my life. And it is home for me in every sense of the term. And so active involvement in it is what makes up my life, from the day I was born. So while I was in Paris living there, UNESCO headquarters was just next to me. And I used to keep wondering, how can we do things with UNESCO? माने इतना सारा ये लोग काम करते हैं, we do the same thing. तो क्यों नहीं साथ मिलके काम करें ना, ऐसा सोचते रहते थे. And browsing, I found some, things that we could share with UNESCO. And that's how it began. And that's how everything begins, Even today I have some pretty crazy ideas which just happen because... And I don't feel I get them. I think they are just hanging around in the air, inspired by the great master, And Daaji is the entrepreneur of entrepreneurs in every sense of the term. I mean, I hope he doesn't watch this, but if he does, sorry, I didn't mean to say it, but my God, the genius of it. Every time I've watched him, every idea he has is like, wow. You're like, wow. Okay, so UNESCO began like that. And so even now, so many UN organizations we want to work with, we are still working with and building bridges. And yoga institutions also happened like that only. Daaji keeps pushing for unity because unity is yoga. Right? Being in meditation is being united with your inner self. And, when you close your eyes and you're meditating, you don't feel disconnected with others. It's when you open your eyes and you see the other one is separate from you. Right? Okay, so Daaji keeps inspiring these things, and that's how yoga organizations, last year he said, "Ke ek kaam karte hai, let's start working with all these different organizations, build a festival called Yoga for Unity." So we started like that. Usse pehle bhi Daaji kept inspiring. Okay, let's meet everybody. Let's, why be separate and work? We're all doing the same thing. Right? So the capacity and the potential would become so immense if we work together. Right? That's how we started the idea of going to the Ministry of AYUSH, and one thing led to the other. And I think I'm just fascinated. Every time a door opens, a phone call comes, or some idea sparks, and most of the things in my life have been like that. Adventures, sudden things happening, somebody calling. I think it just is a question of being open.
It's a great learning for young entrepreneurs because, you have to be open and accept everything. But be mindfulness as well, what you are taking in, and like a barrier somehow. Because
you know how that happens, Tanishk? I was reading a quote by Daaji just yesterday or day before. He said, absolute alertness of the mind and a total openness of the heart.
Oh, that's so good.
Right? That's what meditation does. That's what having a guide. And you need a master for that. To create that kind of an environment within you. Okay, it's like attraction. His spiritual, I would say, his level of consciousness, his capacity is so immense because he's practiced all his life and he's connected to, I would say, this capacity, this state of consciousness. When you just hook your, I would say, wagon onto it, well, you get attracted, right? And you get this escape velocity. It's very interesting. So I would say to all you young entrepreneurs, man, meditate like you've never meditated before and see what happens. But yeah.
Okay, that's really an amazing conversation. And last word of wisdom for young entrepreneurs.
No words of wisdom, man. I don't think I'm wise at all. I think I must be the last person on the planet to tell you wise things.
Every great person says that.
No, no, no. Honestly, oh my God, if you look at the kind of mistakes and the kind of rocky path and the touch and go, and like, how did I not fail? I mean, it's a miracle. And sometimes I say, my guardian angels, my God, they'll go on a strike. It's like, man, working for her is a tough job.
Yeah.
Kitna kaam karna padta hai. So it's only a miracle if I'm still hanging around and alive and all that.
Yeah.
And to be serious, I think it's not something that you get or you learn or something. I think when we do the right thing, when life, puts us in a situation where you have to take a decision, ye kare, hai na? So what has helped me is this deep conviction that one must do the right thing. Life is to give, not to get. And every time I've made a decision based on this idea of giving, keeping my heart open, putting the human, sentiment, love above everything else, it's always been beautiful. It's always come across as a positive thing. And how can I tell you? It's not even positive. It's like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
तो छोटी छोटी चीजों से शुरू होते हैं. Some person that you come across and you had a time to talk and you feel like I'm so stupid, I'm wasting my time with this. When I was bringing up my kids, everybody would tell me, why are you a homemaker? Why are you not taking up a job? Why did you have your kids so young? And you get married so young, तुमको तो job करना चाहिए, तुमको तो career बनाना चाहिए. And it's only somehow my heart told me this is it, and that faith, that thing was, but it made me very lonely because that's not the way the world goes. So I guess entrepreneurs are also very lonely people, miserable people most of the time. And many years later, it was Daaji whose ideas that he's come out with in this fantastic book, which I would say all of you must read it. And I think that's the source of wisdom, the wisdom bridge.
Yeah.
Nothing like it, guys.
Yeah. I will just put the link in the description. You can buy from Amazon and stuff. It's available everywhere.
Yeah. Not only available, man, read it like a treasure. If I had read that book before, I wouldn't have doubted so much in myself. It would have saved me so many nights of pain and loneliness. And I can't tell you, when I read it, and not only read it, because Daji's been saying it for so many years, I felt I had come home, like he had provided a shore. And he explained to us that, your heart's wisdom is true. Believe in it. And I was so relieved because, all those years when the whole world would say, you're supposed to work, earn money, and we made a conscious choice that my time should be with my children. I couldn't leave them with anybody else. I wanted to be there when they came home from school. I wanted to be there for every little thing in life. And, fighting it against the world was so tough. So if you read The Wisdom Bridge, you'll see that, it will align your mind and your heart. It will give you faith in yourself. Because you know what, Tanish, the real entrepreneurship is the entrepreneurship of how you live your life. The rest will happen with it. है ना? आज सुबह business deal के लिए जाए, or should I take care of my parents who desperately need me? Should I build a business and get advantage here, or should I take care of something that is more dear to my heart? That is what builds a life.
Yeah, I think it's like a bird. We need to balance it.
Balance is beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I have learned from people like Daaji, and I'm so blessed that he's there in this world for, guiding all of us. So, yes, guys, meditate, more.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, Tanishq. Reaching out to the big white table, man. Get a
Yeah.
smaller table.